Okay, so we should be live. Everything seems to be working fine. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another live stream. My name is Hazik, and it seems that the markets are coming back to life. It seems that Bitcoin is recovering, and I do have a bit of a new setup, so let me know if this seems visually better than my previous setup. And we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin dominance. We're going to be talking about altcoins. We're going to be talking about a few news pieces from Twitter, and I'm going to go through some altcoins that we mentioned on Patreon, that we mentioned on these live streams, and we'll see how well they're doing, and we'll take a look at the ones that I think still are at good buying prices. So welcome everyone if you're watching this live or if you're watching this as a recording. Make sure to leave a like and support the channel. All right, so let's jump into the CoinMarketCap page real quick. Bitcoin is above $103,000, and we're sitting at a $2 trillion market cap. Ethereum has seen a massive 36% rally in the last 7 days. We're sitting at a $300 billion market cap. Let's jump into Ethereum's price action chart. And we were discussing this for Ethereum over the past month or so, maybe even more. The fact that Ethereum needs to start pumping in order for us to get closer to the Altseason that everyone has been waiting for. And we discussed this bottom for Ethereum during March, April. And I mentioned that we're still bullish as long as we don't lose this low from September 2023. So this is just going to be your correction. This is going to be your wave 4 playing out here. And indeed, this was a wave 4. Actually, it was not a wave 4. So I think the Elliott wave has been invalidated. Yeah, this is the monthly. The Elliott wave has been invalidated. Why? Because the wave 4 pullback here, the wave 4 went below the wave 1 top. So we're no longer going to be using that Elliott wave structure. We do have some other indicators to look at, obviously. One such indicator is the Fibonacci. So we're going to be looking at $7.8 thousand per Ethereum by the end of this cycle. This is the 1.272. Okay. And this, of course, would only be possible if we get all the way up to our all-time high there and break it, of course. So what we need to see first is a break of our local tops, and our local tops are over here at around $3.7 thousand. So Ethereum so far has been doing great, but we need to see a stronger move, and we need to start breaking out of those local resistance levels. And of course, once that happens, Ethereum will bring all of the altcoins with it, because the Bitcoin dominance dropping and the Ethereum RSI bottoming out, these are really good indicators that are suggesting an alt season is on the horizon. Okay, go back to my previous live streams from a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. We talked about this extensively. So Ethereum is doing well. Solana did briefly flip BNB, but now it's back to the number 6 spot. XRP has held its own very well during this correction. I'm actually surprised it did so well. I thought it was going to drop way lower. Dogecoin is pumping. I don't know if Elon Musk mentioned Dogecoin or why is it going up, but Dogecoin is going to stay in the top 10 most likely for a long time. Cardano is up above 80 cents, and this is actually pretty impressive as well. Cardano held its own very well. Sui up 20%. We're sitting at a $13 billion market cap. So if you're looking for a safe altcoin, but you don't want to go all the way up to Solana or BNB, I would say Sui is the best layer 1 to get into at the moment, because you can still make some profits here, right? I could definitely see a 4 to 5x with this thing. So a safe layer 1 is definitely Sui. So let's go over to Sui's chart and let's see what's going on. Which chart can I remove? I think we'll remove that one. And let's bring up Sui. Let's go back to the weekly. So we had this retracement here. I gave you the support block between $2.35 down to $1.94. That was a great buying opportunity. So if you manage to buy some Sui within that range, great. You're already sitting up 100%, right? This is 100% move from there. From the very bottom, it's 130%, but we are on our way back up to that level there. Let's see if we can add an Elliott wave structure. 3, that's your 4, and that's going to be your 5. So we potentially have a valid Elliott wave structure here. So that's your wave 1 top. Your wave 4 bottom is right at the same level as the wave 1 top. So this is not invalidated. With the Ethereum, the wave 4 went below the wave 1, right? So it should have held that white line there, but it didn't. Sui did, so that's good. We're looking at a wave 5, and we can add a Fibonacci retracement here to this fractal from the bottom in March a month ago to the top in December 2024. We're looking at around $10. That's our 1.618. So $10 from here would be slightly more than a 2x. But I think even $14 to $20 is possible with Sui. We're back above the weekly 20 EMA, so that's great. So Sui is a powerful asset to have. Chainlink is doing very well. I think Chainlink can easily break into the top 10. I think Tron is going to get kicked out by Sui and Chainlink. AVAX is up 17%. Let's see. Polkadot is up 25%. Pi is up 26%. My Pi coins are not being unlocked for the mainnet from the app, which is a bit annoying. Now, these are a few coins here that I've been talking about for a very long time. First being BitTensor. So this is one of the top AI coins. At the moment, it's the #1 AI coin in terms of market cap. So it's 3.9, almost $4 billion market cap. And this is already listed on Binance and Coinbase. If you look into their infrastructure, it's very interesting how their tokenomics work. And there's a really good channel that I watch that covers AI. I think I'm blanking on the name. It's essentially a 2-buddy podcast they're doing, and they're tech guys. They work in the blockchain industry. And if I remember the name, I'll mention it. But I did share them on Patreon before. So essentially, they're covering BitTensor they've been doing it for a long time, and they were getting in at these lower prices of $50. I got in at, I think, 270 or so. So I'm up around 70%. But this thing can absolutely rip from here. I think a 10x is doable. A 10x from these prices is doable for BitTensor. So make sure to look into that. Near protocol, another another AI layer 1. This is a very powerful one as well. Sitting at a $3.7 billion market cap, and this dropped all the way to $1.70, I believe. So if we go to our Near protocol charts, and you go back to my videos on Near protocol, I showed you all of the support levels that you should have been targeting. Okay, I showed you all of that, and yeah, let's go to the weekly here. So I give you the support block between $2.93 and $2.26. And that was an amazing opportunity to dollar cost average. Anything below that would have been, extreme fear. So you should have been buying that as well. And on this fractal, from the top in December 2024 to the bottom in November 2024, we saw a perfect correction to the 1.618. As you can see, the 1.618 here was met on the dot at $2.07. So again, if you were paying attention to the fibs we were setting up, if you were paying attention to the charts, then you could have set up some buy limit orders in advance, and you could have gotten into Near. Now, if you guys want, you can send in your altcoin request. I'm not sure why. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with the color scheme for the little banner there, but hello, Elorm. How are you doing? Bonjour. How about Render? Bonjour, ça va? We'll take a look at render. We'll take a look at your requests, guys. Let's just keep going through the top 100. I'm gonna cover a few more coins. So Ondo is the other coin that I still am really bullish on. I think this is the #1 RWA coin, and by #1 I mean the safest one, and the coin that is very likely to produce gains for you. So Ondo, definitely look into Ondo. Mantra got wrecked, and I'm very glad that we got out of Mantra in time at like $4 or so, $4.50. Virtuals had a massive pump from around $300 million market cap. It went up to 1.3 billion. Injective, another strong altcoin. I think this is still not too late to get into Injective, but it's starting to get up there. So I would have been picking up Injective anywhere below $10 if I didn't have any. And then if you want to be safe, like you can get something like Pancake Swap, right? The DEX is probably going to do well. Helium is another one you can look into, but it's just Helium hasn't been performing very well, I think. But I think Helium is definitely a project that can stay around for the next 5 to 10 years. Now, the Fear and Greed Index is sitting at 71. We are sitting on 40 in terms of the altcoin season index. So if we go to this chart here, actually, hold on, reset zoom. Okay, so the altcoin market cap has started going up here. As you can see, the green trend line is the altcoin market cap, and then the orange is the altcoin season index. So now we're sitting at 40. When you're below the index of 25, you're in Bitcoin season. So we were just in that for the past few months. And now we're moving to the upside. After you passed 75 on the index, that means you're in an altcoin season. The last massive altcoin season during a bull market was back in 2020 to 2021. Now, the top 100 coins performance over the past 90 days. So I think was it 100 coins that have to outperform Bitcoin for this to be considered an alt season? I'm not sure, but you can see that Bitcoin is being outperformed by around half of coins. So, okay, so the cryptocurrency market is currently in altcoin season based on the performance of the top 100 altcoins relative to Bitcoin over the past 90 days, with detailed charts and metrics for tracking market trends for altcoin dominance. So, I mean, I guess this thing is saying we're already in alt season, but yeah, I mean, you could consider it alt season if you want to be technical about it. Okay, let's jump into a few news pieces here that I want to cover. First one, this we actually spoke about this a long time ago. This is from Titan of Crypto. I recommend you follow him on Twitter. In previous cycles, Bitcoin tops occurred 16 and 17 months after the halving event, usually at the end of the year. If the trend continues, the next top could be by end of year 2025 with a significant price surge. And this was uploaded on September 16th in 2024. And if you take a look at the chart here, he's looking at a top at around 300 to 400,000, I guess, based on these trend lines. But you know, that's one way to look at things. If you go to my profile here, we also have a post from 2024. This is essentially an updated post from 2022, where I did a bunch of calculations and we took a bunch of fractals from the bear market bottom to bull market peak, from bear market bottom to halving, and from the halving to bull market top, and we calculated the days, as in the days until the next cycle peak. And I think we have the video on that, if I'm not mistaken. If you go to my channel here, real quickly, let's type in cycle peak. I can't remember what the video is called, but I should. The bull market. Okay, so I think, yeah, this was 2 months ago. This video here. The bull market will top on this day, 4 dates for 2025. Definitely take a look at this video. We used that chart and we made a bunch of calculations, and I gave you a few dates. So if you're interested in stuff like that, make sure to check it out. Now, going to the next post, Ethereum is back from the dead. And yeah, a lot of people were obviously very bearish on Ethereum because of its price action, and people were not very excited. But a lot of big names started buying into Ethereum. BlackRock was buying into Ethereum. Trump's crypto fund, whatever, was buying into Ethereum. So when you see stuff like that happening, it's not happening for no reason. It's because those people are on the inside and they know that, you know, something may have value, something may pump in the future. Goldman Sachs just disclosed owning $1.65 billion worth of Bitcoin through Bitcoin ETFs coming from Bitcoin Archive. And we're going to see more of these popping up as time goes by. And, you know, this is just, you know, this was expected. I think everyone knew they were holding Bitcoin. I think we're going to have states announcing they're holding Bitcoin. Some of the Arab Gulf states, people are thinking it's either UAE, Qatar, or maybe Saudi Arabia. One of them is definitely going to announce that they have Bitcoin in their holdings. And this is coming from Cointelegraph. On May 9th, we had the biggest liquidations since 2021, hits 800 million in 24 hours. And this is the largest short liquidations since 2021. And that's coming from Cointelegraph. And this is showing you that a lot of people were very bearish. A lot of people were expecting that the bull market was over. And to me, this was very reminiscent of the 2021 correction back in May. So this correction here, I remembered very well when this drop happened. That was my first like massive correction. The first small one was back here in January that I went through. But the first massive one was all the way here. And everyone thought the bear market was over. I started looking into the markets. I saw what was happening. And of course, you can't know for sure at the time, but it did look like we are, you know, we would still have more chances of going to the upside. The same applied to this chart here. And, you know, right now it's proving to be right. We'll see how Bitcoin performs by the end of this year. Next up, CryptoQuant CEO admits he was wrong about the bull cycle ending, pointing to the strong ETF inflows and institutional demand. And this is another example of why people in these big positions, government officials, whoever it may be, they're going to say what they think is the right thing to say in the moment, either for the benefit of their company or for their own benefit. So it doesn't matter whether what they say is true or not. It's just they're saying it for a specific reason. And they can flip at any time and go back on their word, like this guy saying he was wrong. But imagine how many people were following what he said and they were like, well, if this guy's saying the bull market is over, then it must be over. Same goes for the Federal Reserve. They can go back and revise the numbers, and then the whole narrative just switches. So don't, you know, take everything with a grain of salt is what I'm saying. This is coming from Bitcoin Magazine. Asset Entities is up over 1,000% in the last 5 days as they announced a merger to become a Bitcoin treasury company. And this, I think we're going to see a lot more companies becoming Bitcoin treasuries, because you can see this essentially revives their stock. This revives their company. So expect more. And I would say if you're into stocks, start researching companies that are looking to become Bitcoin treasuries. Start investing into them early, not financial advice, but this could be a good way to make some short-term gains, mid-term gains on stocks. And this is the altcoin season index as well. There's a nice chart here. And it seems that we have broken this trend line to the downside. And hopefully we're going to see a massive move to the upside, and we'll have a cycle peak sometime at the end of this year. Hopefully it's going to be September, October, November. Who knows? But the thing is, for altcoins, it's going to be way harder to predict the top. In the previous cycle, some altcoins peaked in May 2021, in April 2021. Some did that in August 2021, and some did that in January 2022, like Near Protocol. So I would say when we're talking about Bitcoin, it's easier to predict the top for that asset rather than the entire altcoin market. So you have to be careful with your altcoins. I would suggest, if at this stage in the market your altcoin does a massive move to the upside, I would say at the very least, take your initial investment out. And at this stage in the market, I would reconsider whether you want to sell your asset and then put that money back into a different asset. I don't know if you want to be putting money into the markets when everything is flying. So maybe this is the time where you start removing and selling and trying to liquidate your assets so that you can prepare for the next bear market crash. And the DXY dropped from the channel up pattern here. Okay, let's take a look at the FedWatch tools. This is the June 18th expectations for a rate cut or a no change or a continuation of the pause. So here we have an 82.8% of investors in the market are expecting a no change. Essentially, they're going to keep the rates at 4.25 to 4.5. And then only 17.2% are expecting a 25 basis points cut. And these numbers changed drastically. So 63.2% were expecting a rate cut back in April. So on April 10th, we had the majority expecting a rate cut, and then over a month, slightly less than a month, the narrative switched, and now we're expecting a no change. And this is because of several reasons. The GDP numbers came in. Jerome Powell saying that we could have, 2025 could see a weaker labor market. Inflation could be on the rise because of the tariffs. But all of that, of course, is up in the air, right? If tomorrow Trump comes out and says, well, we're removing all the tariffs, the markets are going to go bananas, and suddenly we're not expecting a weak labor market and more inflation. So take everything they say with a grain of salt and always be ready for both outcomes. That's very important. That's the way you survive in these markets. And of course, don't invest money you're not willing to lose. That's also a very important thing that you have to keep in mind. And as always, you want to make sure to have all of your indicators, all of your potential Bitcoin top indicators pinned on your browser, because that's very important, I think. You can keep an eye on them and you can track them at any time, like the Pi Cycle top, like the MVRV Z-score, which currently is starting to move to the upside. We're waiting to get to the red rectangle there between, I think that's 7 and 9 on the scale there. And the other indicator here that we have is the CBBI indicator, and this is currently sitting at 75% confidence that we are at the cycle top. In the previous cycle, we were sitting at 96. Before that, we were sitting at 100. Before that, we were sitting at 99 in 2013. So I would be expecting to get up to at least 90 on the confidence scale before you would start considering that the market is over. And again, this is strictly for Bitcoin. Altcoins can continue pumping after Bitcoin prints its cycle top. Keep that in mind. And this is the Bitcoin terminal price indicator that you could also use to catch the Bitcoin top. And so essentially when it hits the red moving average, that's your time, that's your signal to get out of the market. So an altcoin that I wanted to share with you that we were buying before the correction in 2024. We were buying it back in 2024, and that's Alien Base. And this is a DEX on the base chain, and this is the weekly chart, and it's performed very well. Did a 5x already. It's a 5x since the bottom in April 2025. I think we got into that thing at around 34 cents. And this is going to be the Fibonacci retracement. These are the expectations in terms of the price action. So we're looking at $1.20 as our minimal target. If you break this all-time high at 57 cents, the 1.618 is sitting at $3.15. So that's your expectation for, at least on my part, that's what I'd be looking for. We can pull up Alien Base on CoinMarketCap so we can take a look at the market cap and everything else. And by the way, this is not listed on any centralized exchanges yet. So once it starts getting more listings, you can definitely expect this thing to fly. The market cap is only sitting at 28.4 million per coin market cap. We can verify that with cryptorank.io. So we type in the ticker of the token and we verify the market cap. So here the market cap is at 29.2 and the circulating supply is sitting at 33.5%. So more or less, coin market cap is accurate. And then we can also go to what's the other one? We can also go to the coin perspective and we can see what the market cap is going to look like. If we get to, let's say, $3.5 or whatever was it, $3.17, right? So we set up the chart there, let's say 3.17. Oh, why is it doing that? 3.17, there we go. So that is an 18x from the current value. That would be a $537 million market cap, okay? And that's only $3. So if you have 1,000 of these coins right now, you'd be sitting at $3,170 essentially worth of your coins. And $537 million market cap is not a lot, especially if this thing explodes, it gets a Binance listing. We could easily see this go to a multi-billion-dollar market cap, in my opinion. That's why I'm betting on some of these base chain and Sui chain dexes, right? Another one you can look at is Cetus. Cetus has seen a massive pump recently. We do hold Cetus. Look at this move. So we dropped around 9 cents, and now we're sitting at 21 cents. And this, on the contrary, you know, as opposed to Alienbase, this is already listed on Binance and OKX. We don't have Coinbase yet, and we don't have Bybit, and we don't have Kraken, I think. So those are the other few exchanges that we can look forward to have it listed. But I think once DeFi picks up, projects like Cetus and Alienbase are going to be destroying it. Of course, I'm not telling you to get into Alienbase right now. It's pumping quite a lot, so be careful. Another AI coin that we've been talking about for a while is Destra, and this thing is moving up, as you can see. We saw a pump here from around 11 cents all the way up to 75, like it went up 75% at the moment, sitting at 19 cents. And we were discussing this throughout the correction. I was letting you know that I'm still bullish on Destra. Alex Becker has around $1 million worth of Destra coins. So if people are bullish on it, big YouTubers are bullish on it, then chances are they're going to be talking about that coin and they're going to be aiding in the pump. And Destra isn't listed anywhere. Like literally it's listed on a few, like Gate, I think. Okay, well, I exaggerated a little bit, but we have Mexi, Gate, BingX. That's pretty much it. I don't know what these other exchanges are. It doesn't matter. So once we have a Binance, a KuCoin, Coinbase listings, things are going to start going crazy for Destra, and the entire supply is pretty much out in circulation. So there won't be any massive coin unlocks, which is very important because you don't want the initial investors dumping on you. Let's take a look at the AI sector, and let's do by 7 days. So Hash AI is up around 100%. Again, we talked about Hash AI for a long time. Personally, I didn't buy into it, unfortunately. Kaito, I think that this is like a relatively new coin. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, since February 2025. I don't know what that is. I don't know what Kaito is. Tars AI is another one that we mentioned. Solidius AI Tech. I think there's other better options than this if you're looking at AI coins. So Destra, Palm, Node AI. These are 3 projects that I'm bullish on. Pinlink, like this is a very, very good coin in my opinion, because it's both in the RWA and the AI narratives. It's still below $100 million market cap, so do your own research, of course, but I don't want to go too low on this list because we have a lot of patron calls that that I want to keep on Patreon only. And then if we go to RWA, so Ondo is the top coin in my opinion. If you want to play it super safe, you can buy a bit of XLM, HBAR, ABAX, and Link. If you really want to do that, you can even get some algo. But I would definitely focus on Injective. I would focus on Ondo. And let's see, Polyhedra has been holding, the price has been steady throughout this correction. It hasn't done anything. So I don't know if that's a good sign or not, because we saw the same thing happening with Mantra, and then we saw a massive crash. But definitely look into ZKJ. I don't have any. And I think Centrifuge is another one that we covered on Patreon a long time ago. Yeah, so that's about it for RWA coins. I don't want to drag this out for too long. And of course, when we were talking about DeFi, we have to mention Orca. This is a Solana exchange, and it's running into a resistance trend line at the moment, but I think it's gonna flip this resistance to support, and I think we're gonna be going to the upside very soon. So I'm expecting a retest of the previous all-time high at the very least for Orca. All right, let's go and let's start looking at your requests. So Render is another good pick if you're into AI coins. Render is definitely a good pick. And we can take a look at my chart for Render. I don't know if I have it here somewhere. Okay, so there's Render. And I gave you the support block when we last covered Render, whenever that was, between $5.29 and $3.40. And then anything below $3 would be a steal. And then we also had a perfect retest of this previous top from May 2023. Look at that perfect retest there. And this is like, you don't need extraterrestrial technical analysis skills to spot these bottoms, right? You just got to get used to the charts. You got to read the basics, and you'll be able to have really good entries. So look at that perfect retest there. And now we're moving up. So from that local bottom where the candle closed, we are up 88%. So I think Render is one of the safest AI coins as well. It's been performing very well. You have this white ascending trend line to lean onto if you have any sort of black swan or any major crash. The white trend line is hopefully going to keep you up. And then I'm targeting anywhere between $21.50 to $35 for the cycle peak. So that's going to be between 300% to 570% to the upside from the current prices. I think it's doable. $2.7 billion market cap. Like, technically speaking, this could easily get to 20 billion, right? A 10x from here would put us at $52, guys. And that's somewhere between the 1.618 and the 1.414. But if let's say we get to $30, that'll be around 70, or sorry, if we get to $30 billion market cap, that would be around $70 per token, I think, if my math is right. Let's verify that. So let's say we do 70. So okay, $36.2 billion market cap is $70. That's a 12x. So essentially, if you're looking at the 1.618 here, it's within the realms of possibilities. That's what I'm going to say. And if you're looking to get into render, like technically speaking, this is still within the support block I gave you, but we have recovered a little bit. Look at the daily RSI here. We're getting closer to the overbought, so we might have a short-term retracement. I would say wait a little bit, just a little bit. Maybe we have a retracement on Monday. So I would say target the 20 MA on the daily. There's this little range you can take a look at if you really want to. Like over here somewhere, you can get in that area. Yeah, so that red block there, that's between $4.45 down to $4. That would be a great entry point if we have a retracement, and that would be like a 25% retracement. It's not a lot. But again, if you want to start building your position right now, feel free to do that. Of course, I'm no financial advisor. But yeah, that should cover render, mon ami. VeChain, an oldie but a goldie, as they say. But personally, I would be staying away from VeChain for the simple fact that it's an old coin, right? It's been around for a while. It's been around since the previous bear market here. It went through a cycle, and usually most coins do not break their all-time high in the second bull market. So this is exactly what we're seeing with VeChain. We're not seeing a break through any major resistance levels here. So we did break this top, right? So we had this peak in March 2024. We had a move above it. We printed a higher high in December 2024. Things were looking good, but we got a little too overextended. We were in the overbought on the RSI. We saw a crash. And again, we're down in our 2022 June prices. Look at this block from 2.0235 down to 2 cents. This was your support block. We laid this out I think more than 2 years ago. We gave you this buying area. And anywhere below that block is a steal. That's essentially extreme fear. But within the block, that's a pretty good entry point. Let's put it that way. So right now, what we need to see from VeChain, if let's say we want to be breaking past this top, and let's say we want to get back up to the all-time high by the end of the cycle at the very least, what we need to see is we need to see a break of this top from March 2024, and that is exactly where the golden ratio is on this large Fibonacci retracement. So 0.08458 is the golden ratio, and we got rejected from there on our way up from this bottom in February 2022. So we had this crash here, we started retracing, and we got rejected by that level, and we started coming back down. And now that we've printed a bear market bottom all the way down here in May 2023, we set up a Fibonacci retracement with that top, with that bottom, and the 1.618 here is a very important level to break. If we have another move to the upside here, let's say we start climbing up and down and we try to do something, and by the end of the day, we get to the 0.618 and then we get a rejection, it's not going to be looking good for VeChain, right? If this happens in September, I would say it's very likely we're not seeing the 25 cents retested in this cycle, right? And of course, this is based on probabilities because anything can happen at any point in these markets. It's not like because I'm saying we're not going to get to the 25 cents, it literally means we're not going to do it. But based on the chart and probabilities and your risk to reward ratio, that's what I'm using to come up with my decisions and my theses. But of course, if you're super bullish on VeChain, you have some insider information. You think, when this announcement comes out, VeChain is going to have a massive 5x move. Of course, it's going to pump and you could hold and you can sell at 54 cents. That's a possibility. Altcoins did that in the past, so it's not out of the realms of possibilities. However, in terms of how likely that is to happen, I would say you're better off buying an AI coin, an RWA coin, something that's relatively newer to VeChain because this has already gone through a cycle. It has underperformed throughout this bull market against other coins. So that's, you know, those are the reasons why I don't have VeChain. And those are the reasons why I sold some of my other older coins, because they were not performing as I wanted them to. So in terms of buying VeChain at the moment, on the weekly RSI, it's still pretty okay to buy, I think. We're up 73% from the local bottom there. The daily RSI is in the overbought. So I would say wait for a retracement for VeChain. You had this entire time to be dollar cost averaging, almost 2 months here. So if you're willing to buy right now, then, you know, you can buy, of course, but I would wait. I would definitely wait. And I would be very cautious with VeChain. I think the safest thing to do if you really want to buy VeChain is to sell once we get to the golden ratio. Even if it keeps pumping after that, based on what we've seen on this chart, I think that would be the safest move. You get to make some money, and then you get to keep that money. I think that's a pretty good deal with an asset like VeChain. And let's go to Arif. How are you doing, my friend? Let's take a look at ZIG. ZIG chain, 147. Supply updates have been paused due to an anomalous spike. Updates will resume once the project has addressed the root cause. So there's some sort of an issue with the circulating supply, Arif. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that at all. Let's take a look at ZIG on CryptoRank. Oops, that's not it. I think it's ZIG chain. It's not showing up. Is it supposed to be one word then? Why can't I look it up? Interesting. Let's go to their Twitter, and let's go to DeFi Llama and see if they have some information on ZIG chain. They don't, because there are some people here on the side talking about the TVL and such. So I thought I can verify the TVL through DeFi Llama, but apparently we're not going to be able to do that. 119,000 followers, followed by some of the AI coins that I'm following. So you can buy ZIG seamlessly on OKX. Is that a, okay, this is a multi-chain asset. I mean, yeah, it seems they have a legit team. And if they're working with the likes of OKX, it's definitely not a, I don't think this is going to be a rug pull, but again, Luna, no one thought Luna was going to be a rug pull, so I'm not saying it is, though. I'm not saying it is. So Bybit, Mexi, Gate, we don't have Binance, we don't have KuCoin, we don't have Coinbase. So Bybit is the biggest one. It's a very basic website. So what are these guys doing? Layer 1, to democratize wealth generation, build innovative wealth generation protocols with our ecosystem, empowering wealth managers to deploy them into accessible investment strategies that democratize financial opportunities. And they've been listed since 2018. So let's pull up their chart and see what's going on the chart. Nope. So ZIG. Well, that is an impressive pump. If I've ever seen one. 4,000% move to the upside, 41x. That is pretty impressive. So it went through this massive bear market. Obviously, it had like a 99% correction or like 97% correction. So this is pretty good in terms of the price action. I don't see anything too bad happening here. And I don't think we should be using that fib, to be honest, after such a big move. I think it's better to use a smaller fractal here. There we go. So the 1.272 was retested as our minimal target when we broke through the local bottom from June 2024. So that was a perfect retest, perfect entry opportunity at around 6 cents for Zig chain. Of course, the technical target was down here at 0.044, but we never got down that low. And what's happening right now is that we're running into the golden ratio here at 10.5 cents. And we've ran into that area before as resistance back in May and in September 2024. So we want to break through that level, and that will be our first signal that the trend is reversing, because the 0.618 is a massive resistance level. And then we add another Fibonacci with targets to the upside, and we're looking at around 26, 27 cents here for Zig chain. But definitely look into the token supply issue that they seemingly have, according to CoinMarketCap. They have a max supply of 2 billion coins and the total supply of 1.95 billion. And seemingly at the moment, 1.4 billion are in circulation. So there is still a small amount of coins remaining, but yeah, that's only about 30% of coins. And there should be a vesting schedule for that. But I can't look up Zig chain for some reason on CryptoRank. Is it because I'm not using capitals here? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Now, in terms of entries, we're also up 84% here. And I think on the daily, we're going to be close to the overbought. I would say wait. Like, you don't want to be buying something when it starts pumping, right? You want to be, well, unless you know the pump is going to continue, right? But we had this massive downtrend here for a good period. And now we're finally breaking out of it. So I would say it's possible we're going to see a retest of the channel's resistance here, but you never know. This could continue pumping. The market cap is quite small, 143 million, so it's not a massive project. But definitely wait for a retracement. At least the 20 daily EMA would be a good entry point. Yeah, so that's it for Zig chain. And we did share a few altcoins, some AI coins, some RWA coins in this video. We talked about the interest rates. We talked about some news articles regarding some companies that were some institutions getting into Bitcoin. And the reason why the markets are pumping, in my opinion, at least from what I've seen, is because of potential talks between China and the US and peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. So it seems that those are affecting the markets in a good way. And even with negative GDP growth, it seems that the markets are able to pump like this, and it's quite impressive. So as you can see, when the markets need to pump, when the big boys decide it's time to rally, it's time to rally. There's nothing you can do. No news is going to stop the markets from rallying if the market makers, right, the actual market makers want the markets to rally. So it's a big game we're all playing, and you just have to know how to navigate through it, and you have to know when to exit. Look at Destra going up to 20 cents now. I think it's because Alex Becker mentioned it. He just dropped a video on AI coins, so I think that's why. And of course, if you haven't seen my Patreon, make sure to check it out. The link is going to be down below in the description. Let me see if I can share my Patreon page. The video that I mentioned on my YouTube channel was actually dropped on Patreon first. So you can make sure to check out our Patreon. This was dropped on April 30th, the video regarding the cheat sheet, the so-called cheat sheet about the others dominance chart, right? The top 10 altcoins, or the altcoins without the top 10 coins market dominance, and how that played out. And we covered the Bitcoin dominance as well. So make sure to check out our Patreon. We have a 7-day free trial. In case you don't like it, you can, of course, leave. Cliche, morning, happy Mother's Day from New Zealand. Oh yeah, it's the 11th in New Zealand. Good morning, my friend. Hopefully you have a great day, and happy Mother's Day to all mothers. If you're a mother and you're watching this, thumbs up. You're a good mom. You're doing a good job. Just don't buy crypto with your with the money that you're gonna spend on your baby. Don't do that. Anyway. That should be it for this live stream. Luis Caballos, hey there, my friend. Great to see you. So if you just joined, feel free to watch the live stream. It's going to be available as a video as soon as we end, and we're going to be ending in a few seconds. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for your requests. I'll see you tomorrow with another live stream. Stay safe, and goodbye.